Highlights from Session 4 of the Pacific Islands Tourism Research Symposium 2021, held from 30th November to 1st December on the theme Navigating Uncertainty Through Research, Partnering for Knowledge-Based Action in Building Pacific Tourism Forward. A joint initiative between the Pacific Tourism Organization, the New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and partners. The event brought together research and tourism stakeholders from the Pacific and beyond to discuss challenges and opportunities in shaping a better future through tourism.
But our challenge in this session is to try and bring that together. How do we bring a story together about what we should do next?
The gap between researchers and practitioners needs to be bridged through research that asks the broader questions, strengthening reciprocal relationships, building partner capacity, and effectively communicating research findings.
I've got comments on making research findings accessible and sharing it in a timely fashion and communicating research findings effectively.
In the short term, there is a need for strengthening collaboration across the tourism system, community empowerment and social inclusion, education and research capacity building, and inter-regional focus. In the long term, values-informed policies, community-centered approaches are crucial in nurturing relationships towards achieving sustainability.
Take this as a moment to set the region, its nations, its peoples on a more secure and self-chosen footing for the future.
Awareness of and access to research highlights the need for strategic partnerships at all levels and to bring development partners to the table to garner support for realizing the outcomes and recommendations from the PITRS.
Partnerships at all levels are fundamental for our progress. Such partnerships must be focused on ensuring that Pacific Islands are empowered by and benefiting from tourism that's resilient, prosperous, and inclusive.
A governance and engagement framework to guide future partnerships in tourism research will provide clarity in defining stakeholder responsibilities, recognizing needs and priorities, and encouraging meaningful engagement and guiding cross-sectoral partnerships and collaboration.
Governance and engagement framework will provide clarity on the pathway.
Widespread collaboration needs to be guided by a regional framework that is not only Pacific-owned, but also Pacific-led and reflective of Pacific priorities and needs. Such a framework will need resourcing in the forms of financial support, human resources, and technology. A shared regional research framework will assist donors in resource planning and ensuring ongoing, well-informed data and research that is responsible and responsive.
Research must be responsible and responsive. It must pivot from traditional top-down approaches and instead embrace a thorough and all-encompassing approach that encourages widespread collaboration.
The involvement of local communities in the planning, development and management of tourism emerged a key priority. Greater private sector engagement and participation is beneficial with further research in understanding the needs of the private sector, particularly in relation to labor issues and market demands. Public-private partnerships is essential. The unique challenges of small island developing states in accessing funding for research was recognized alongside the overall need for tourism to better serve communities. The private sector could be doing more to fulfill duty of care to communities. Human flourishing, which goes beyond the usual statistical and economic data measuring tourism impacts and benefits, is an important area for future focus. The need for better access to research and data through centralized regional hubs, the management and resourcing of those hubs calls for greater efforts in planning, coordination, and resourcing. As the curtain draws on the PITRS 2021, the Tourism Research Cooperation Framework will be the starting point of a transformative collaboration, regional cooperation, and global partnership, using tourism as a vehicle towards achieving the greater regional goal of a green and blue Pacific and common prosperity for all Pacific Islands.
With this increasing importance of tourism towards national GDP and the creation of job opportunities, it is imperative that tourism development is achieved sustainably, taking into account environmental concerns, cultural preservation, and socio-economic considerations, including achieving profitable aviation in the region.
The outcomes of the symposium has underlined the innovation and resilience of our Pacific people, and the event is a step towards building a resilient Pacific and tourism sector.
On behalf of steering committee, to reiterate everybody else's comments that thank you very much, and very successful event, and we're going to build on this and bigger, better, stronger going forward. So thank you.
The outcomes of this 2-day symposium is a step in building resilience for our Pacific tourism industry for the betterment of our people and her future generations.
The PITRS 2021 was made possible with the funding support of the New Zealand Government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade.